What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 game development livestream, where we're back in our Deck Knight project, a game built from scratch using Unreal Engine 5, C++, blueprints, the gameplay ability system plugin, and all of that good stuff. So today we're going to just continue on our journey of fixing bugs and tighten things up with our weapons. Try to add as many mechanics as we can, just so we can jump back into the cards and start implementing more interesting card designs and different mechanics that kind of blend into one another. So what I wanted to do today, a couple of bug fixes really. I want to introduce a melee reset system, so that when you reach a certain part of an animation, it resets the combo, so you don't get things like this where you kind of reset but kind of continue the combo. You know, I want there to be kind of like a hard reset at a certain point. So you have to kind of get the rhythm and kind of update your input in order to get to the benefits of the later parts of the combo. I also want to start introducing some stuff for the bow and arrow. Because last week I did it off stream, but we added instant static meshes to control how many of the arrows that you see here. Right now it's a hard-coded value of like 7 or something. But I want to make that an attribute, and then also use that attribute as a gating mechanism for being able to activate the bow, or, you know, fire it, you know what I mean? So, and then have some mechanics that let you recharge and have it charge over time, have some sort of passive that exists within it. And that passive could be something that is granted by the ability itself, or sorry, the weapon itself. Because like when we do activate the dagger, for example, I get 3,000 health, and when I have the bow, I'm back to 100. So I proved the idea of when the weapon is active, you get an ability set. So, but maybe there needs to be kind of like an active weapon and equipped weapon. So as long as the weapon's equipped, you get some stuff. So in this case, it could be a passive that kind of gives you more ammo over time. So we'll try to integrate that in the next hour and a half, if things go well. So for the melee combo stuff, I was thinking of it being relatively simple. So we'll do it for the daggers first. But basically, while every single one is active, all we really need to do is kind of listen for a state tree event. It could be a gameplay event that we can also just rebound back into state tree within melee base, for example. You know, for example, you know, in this delegate montage event received, we could have one for like event.animation.combat.melee. You know, combo reset or something. Or just, you know, event.gameplay.melee.combo reset. So let's add a tag. Kind of didn't want to do that, but yeah. So what I can do instead of doing that is I could make a new task that kind of just listens to and rebounds events. So let me go into tasks. You could make this in C++ as well. There's BP send state tree event. But yeah, we can do BP send gameplay event to state tree. And what it could do is, you know, when we enter, we could just listen to literally anything and just rebound it out. And I wonder if that will work. So if I were to get only actor and do wait gameplay event to actor, I wonder if it being none will work. I'm gonna print string. I don't think it will, but let's see. So for melee base, I'm just going to unactivate send gameplay event to actor. Get only actor. Say literally anything. So when we activate, we would ideally get here, right? But I also got to add this task. So send gameplay event to state tree. Actor is going to be the so rather than being controller, sorry, it's going to be, let's also move you out for a sec. Let's make this just actor. But it could be readable. So yeah, we also need to pass that actor along. Now it should just be able to be player pawn, right? So as I'm doing the melee combo, do I get a breakpoint? I do. But the issue is, I guess because the payload will have the event, so I should be able to just rebound that, right? So that's nice that, you know, I can just use none here. So we could do this, of course, validated get. There's like a bug with the blueprint graph where like sometimes it doesn't grab both. It's so annoying. Of course, and then we could do finish task. And do like that. That out. Then we should be able to, I guess, at the same time, has to on. Maybe not necessary to do it like that. I should be able to just get validated get roller get state tree component or get component class. Should be, I should probably make a static function to get the state tree component if I really wanted to, but it's whatever. State tree component. Do I have to be the player component? It shouldn't matter. And let's do, make that a variable, which we already have one because we didn't clear it. So that works in our favor. Gotta stop making new variables there. Plug that in, make it as valid. I'll do the same thing as well. Finish the task if it's there. And now target actor is owning actor, of course. Then we can do send state tree event. Can I just break this, right? No. Just make. I could pass along the payload like that too. So, for example, I would have to do what? Instance struct, right? Make instance struct value like that. And tag, I could just also write that. Send along like that. Origin, I could just say ability system. If I needed that additional context, which probably I don't, but doesn't hurt to add it. And then of course we're going to store this this async task so that we can clear it on end task. We don't really want to. We want to make sure there's no lingering tasks and stuff. So Always clean up after yourself, right? Exit state, grab you. Of course, right there. Should be end action, if I'm not mistaken. And there we go. So more or less, there you go. So now I should be able to have it remain here. We don't have to worry about it participating in there. So state tree event I can also remove as a variable. We should be good with just that information. And should only check on events. Should copy rounds on tick. No. Should copy bound property. No. Consider completion. No. Should be good. I think everything else should be Gucci. So now what I should be able to do, hopefully, if I go into the dagger combo, when I say dagger combo, I mean the chooser, so I can get some animations. We should be able to add an event, right? So I'm doing this, wha-bam. So anywhere past this point, I would argue, like somewhere around there, I think we say like, okay, you missed your opportunity, right? We should start naming this stuff too. So rotation, motion warp, translation, motion warp. Back, notify window. More input buffer. Early bund out. And then last but not least, what we actually want to put in are combo set. Should be able to add notify event the self combo.reset. Like that, and then bam. Now what we should be able to do is, ooh, cool. I definitely could use some insight on melee combo stuff. Well, you came at the right time. If you have any questions, let me know, or any suggestions you may have, feel free to share them out, shout them out. So in our state tree, within each melee combo step, we should now be able to just use that event as the transition because we're rebounding gameplay events back into the state tree. So we should be able to say on event, and I can grab you. Don't necessarily want to consume the event, doesn't really matter, and we're going to just go back to idle. And we can make the priority high on this, and we can try to see if that works. So we can test that quickly by using the rewind debugger and just opening this up, and we'll have the state tree here, and we should be able to see it happen. You're using the new UEF stuff. I was just watching a video. I'm not using UAF. Just letting you know, that's just state tree. I'm not yet ready to understand and comprehend UAF. We're doing stuff with that at work, but not on this project just yet. Maybe not ever. I don't know. Something I need to learn for sure. So yeah, let's look into the state tree. I'm going to do my basic attack. And let's see if we end up... Yeah, so we end up in idle much sooner. But if we keep the combo going, we're able to do the full melee combo. So it seems like it works. So we should be able to just introduce that as an additional event within each of our attacks. So simple copy pasting should do us wonders. And then we just gotta add that same notify to our other montages. Then we have melee hold, of course, which I don't know if we need it in here. Your melee combo will reset, so I don't think it's necessary for the melee hold aspect for the daggers. And defensive actions, I don't think is necessary either. So let's go now to the rest of the combo, and we're gonna just do the same thing with naming our notifies. Let's start chipping back at some of our messiness here. Let's try to organize ourselves so we know what our stuff is doing and why. For the love of God. Wasn't letting me edit the names. I got our attack notify window. So a lot of these are going to just follow the same paradigm. A lot of them work a lot of the same way. So we got attack notifies, we got time warpings, we have input buffers, we have our early blend outs, and now we have our combo reset. It's a beautiful thing. Then we'll have to do the same thing for our sword weapon. We'll have to re-equip that. We're going to redo it anyway, so maybe not worth it, but we'll see. Just so we don't kill too much time. So now we should be able to just grab you, copy, paste, and then just kind of fix the timing. So we go here. So right there seems to work too. So maybe it's fair to say, like, you know, at 0.9 seconds or something is our combo reset, but obviously I don't think that's going to be consistent. So combo light 3. Let's do the same thing. Add, and then rotation warp, translation warp. Oops. I don't need the shelf here. We do have a unique notify here to update the motion warp at runtime. We have a couple melee traces, so let's try to separate things out a little bit more. Yeah, whatever. Just let's move it down. Now we have attack notify. Early blend out? No. It's time warping. So time warping. Go here. Input buffer. Then early blend out. Then combo reset. Then we already copied, no we didn't. We gotta copy the notify. Copy. I'm moving myself over to Twitch from YouTube. I do have a question for combat. Is it better to use montages, state machines, or something else? Because I find myself struggling to find a good solution for what I want. Well, you know, from my experience, the stuff that I've been doing, montages are typically better. Just because you could do all the markup and stuff, a lot of the gameplay markup. Some of it would be, I think, compatible with sequences. But the reason why, like, I understand where you're coming from too for state machines. Because, you know, different combos of an attack are all stateful and stuff like that. So that's why I'm using state tree for the player weapons. So that each state is an attack and it has the proper transitions based on input context and stuff. So that's the primary reason why I'm doing that. And so there's there's other plugins and stuff that have like combo graphs and things like that for that same reason too, where you're able to change the flow of the combo based off input, and you kind of have a visualization of how that combo is going to go. And obviously with animation blueprints, there's state machines within that, so I can see where you're coming from there. But I don't know if there is an very easy direct hook to like input stuff into the anim graph, unless you had to, you set a bunch of booleans and you set a bunch of flags to handle the transition rules. And I try to keep gameplay separated from the animation itself, and so that's why I chose State Tree. If I weren't going to be using State Tree, I've done solutions where it's a data table and you use the transition rules as part of like each state, but that also gets kind of messy and it's hard to debug what's going on. So again, that's why I'm using State Tree for that reason. Let's go on Fab real quick. I think it's called Combo Graph, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't used it myself, so take it with a grain of salt. Maybe it's not great, but it's got good reviews. It's out of 5, and yeah, Combo Graph. So you're able to just play montages, link them, have the transitions based off input. Super useful. So maybe go in that direction, or build your own kind of state machine. So it's definitely a good mindset into thinking what you need to do. So let's see if let's see if the reset mechanics work for the other states here. Oh, I attack. Seems like it's working. Yeah. Maybe it needs to be earlier, I'm not sure. But we'll see. Definitely is better. I don't know if we really need one for the evade attack, because it's just going to only always blend into the first combo, but for the sake of consistency, we could add it. And yeah, I'm using choosers to kind of map based off tag which montage to play, just so for each combo I could just update my ability parameters. Be like, hey, play this one. Here's the data about it. Here's like motion warping distances and shit like that. Here's some events you want to listen to. Just so I don't have to repeat a bunch of abilities and things like that. So special from evade, that's what we want. Should also clean up the things here, rotation warp. Grab another montage as reference. So yeah, this one doesn't have a time warp, so that's cool. The buffer really blend out, then we'll need the melee combo reset. Bam. But again, it might be redundant. I don't think it's necessary for this one, but who knows? I just want to also try to be consistent with my blend times. 0.25, 0.25. 1.1. Probably be. I assume these could be like 0.5 or something. Don't need to be too drastic with them. Okay. So let's see what this looks like. Slow motion. Too slow. He is cutting into himself a little bit. But that's okay. At normal speed, we're not really going to care about that. So yeah, that's an issue. We're going into the fourth one. It's a little iffy, so I think might be better. A little slower. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah. Maybe the blend out for this one would be a little faster. That seems okay. Bait attack. Bam, and then the hold. Bam, 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 bam. Shoot. Yay. Okay, great. Fireball. Nope. So that works. Let's see, we got a message on Discord. Okay, so we have the melee combo reset working. So now I kind of want to go back to the bow for a second. So like I mentioned earlier, we have this system for the bow weapon where we're able to add bow arrows based off a number. So we did a default value of 7. And then as we're using the bow, that number is being reduced until we get to there. But then, you know, we could still use it, right? I want to introduce some attributes into our project here. I don't think we have any sort of weapon attribute, so we can look into that now. Let's just double check. So attribute sets, no. So let's do that. Go to build, no, sorry, tools, new C++ class, attribute set. How am I naming these things? So just GAS, so. Weapon attribute set. There we go. Let's create that class. Then we'll let it do its thing. There's some boilerplate I believe we need to add. So let's just take a look at like the health attribute set, for example. We'll probably have some of these we don't really care about, but we can just at least add the overrides in. This is public, right? Yeah, public. that. And then now these things, right? We're going to introduce a current and max bow or arrow count. So let's do that now. So maybe current bow, weapon, arrow count. Class information here. And then we could say weapon, bow, arrow, attributes. So let's do a max. Now let's just generate the code. It's gonna be a bunch of boilerplate. And there's stuff that I want to do, for example, the max here, like this, where we're just going to adjust the current amount if the max were to be increased. I kind of want to keep that same percentage. So for example, if I have 5 out of 8 arrows and then my max arrows goes to like 16 because of some effect or a card or something, I kind of want to up the amount of arrows from that point on. So let's do that. So we're going to do get max attribute. We're going to get current max new value. Good, 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 good. And then that should be fine. And then assuming we're clamping, post gameplay effect execute. I don't think we need to do anything special there, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure I want to clamp current, right? So would it be in post? Let me look at card resources. Oh, it has to be. Wow. Do it here. I hope. But to me, I don't know. I feel like it's not appropriate to doing it there. I feel like it's post attribute, no, post gameplay effect. Examples here. So we can copy some of the boilerplate stuff, I assume, and then just do something to that effect. So. Some includes Kismet, library, look here for the blah blah blah, cool, whatever. I want to do something like this. So if attribute Is that wrong? It is wrong. So I want to do what? I want to do this one. More or less like that. If theta dot magnitude, would that also be correct? That's the magnitude. So would I want to say like, so like if I'm hoping that does what I want it to do, which is basically, hey, if we detect that the value coming in, we'll make it, you know, less than 0. Don't do anything, just so we're more or less clamping it. That should be enough. So let's compile and see if that works. Because what I'd want to do next. Sorry, I got a kitty here and I want to pet her because she's so cute. I don't know if I want to grant this attribute. I guess I'm gonna have to grant it by default. Like, I could make a generic, like, no, I am making a generic weapon attribute set, but maybe I should make a specific bow and arrow attribute set. But let's just leave it for that for now. So we gotta grant this attribute set. So we could do that by default. Oops, sorry, hit my microphone. So we could do it inside of the initial, what's the word? Ability set. So if we go to, I think, just AS underscore character base, which I should probably name it player base, but whatever. We already have a bunch of gameplay effects kind of brought in. But we need to grant attributes. So there's an empty attribute set, which is not good, but so weapon attribute. So we'll add that. But I would want to initialize some attributes when the weapon is equipped. So probably we can go into weapon base, because we already sort of do that. So GAC for weapon base. And this is stuff we're going to have to eventually nativize into C++ to kind of organize our data structures, just to make it a little more readable, but for now it's whatever. We have our weapon, and under gameplay we have active weapon ability set, and then we could just say equipped weapon ability set. And it should just happen like up here, right, under construct based weapon set. So we could do custom event here, and we could say add equipped weapon ability set, and then call it and then we just need to say, hey, you know, validated get always. And then we just say add ability set, or Give ability set to base, right? So I should be able to say ability system component like that. We could do other is valid checks, but it's fine for now. And I don't remember, since it's a U object, I don't know if it has like destroy. There is get auto destroy subsystem. Or do I need to kind of integrate that myself? I'm not sure. Hey Darwin Somi, how you doing? Thanks for popping in. I probably need to have a quote-unquote deconstructor. Like, do I have a destroy? I have a destroy session, but I don't really have anything like that. So I'm assuming it's something I'll be able to do in C++ when I kind of convert this into a C++ class. Alternatively, like I could start setting up the base class with some of these high-level things I know I'll need, like a constructor and a deconstructor or destroy, whatever you want to call it. But for now, it's fine. So there's our weapon base. Let me go into our... I know I did one for dagger, but let's see. Ability set. Yeah, this one. So the DT weapons default ability set. That's one thing, but yeah, let's go create this copy here for bow. And we'll say DT weapons for bow default underscore equipped ability set. Looks like it'll be good enough naming wise, so let's go ahead, throw you in. Should be a gameplay section here. And so what do I want? I want some sort of initializer primarily, right? I don't need to really grant any sort of abilities, anything. All that stuff's handled in the state tree. So let's create a gameplay effect. We'll call it GE underscore weapon, bow, attribute, emitter, in there. Put you in there. And you know, we probably should make like a base, like weapon data table of sorts. We should probably make a curve table. So let's do that just to kind of keep up with the Kardashians on that one. So we're gonna do. Oh, I don't want my kitty jumping off. No, boo boo. Oh, say hi to Boo Boo, aka Lola. Say hi to everybody, Boo Boo. Bye bye. We have a kitty basket to my right here, and she usually lays on it, but you know, today I'm a little annoying. So we want to do. It's under miscellaneous, I believe, and then we want to do a curve table, linear. We'll call it CT underscore bow weapon stat initializers. We're just in it. That in it. Full on British. And you know, we'll say name, and we get to say default bow max arrow count. Oops. We'll say 5. Or maybe even 3. Let's make it super low for now. Then what we can do inside the emitter, it's going to be instant. We're going to do a modifier. We're going to say arrow, max arrow weapon. No, sorry, max bow weapon thing, override. And it's going to be the curve table we just created. That. And because we have that adjust for max change, we shouldn't have to do this, but we're going to do it anyway. We do attribute based, and the backing attribute is going to be the max, so we're just going to set it to the max immediately. And we're going to do that. So this should, at the very least, work. So let's open up our IamGUI, go to gameplay attributes, let's go to the player, and we should see weapon attribute set. And here we go. So max is 3, but current is 0. So we want something messed up there. So source is, or is it, maybe it's the snapshot. Let's not take a snapshot because I think at that moment it's not correct. So let's see. Still 0. So not looking good for our hero. So current bow weapon, backing attributes. Does it have to be target? Wrong. This is interesting because I do it for the health. Well, let me just look how I'm doing it elsewhere. Maybe I'm messing something up. So we're going to do attribute emitter. We're going to go to health. So yeah, we set max health. Okay, so we're actually not setting it that way. So I guess we need to just set it to the same value, right? Rather than doing attribute based, such as their scalability, just do the same exact row. Not a big deal. Now we have 3. Now what we need to do is kind of link it to the bow itself, right? Because right now, in here, we're doing a for loop somewhere. Here we go. So temp projectile mesh count. So we probably want to do the ability set first. Just so we know all our numbers are valid. And then what we want to do is, instead of doing this, we can grab this and get attribute value, if I'm not mistaken, or do I have to get ability system component? Get attribute. I guess I have to do current. Explore, truncate. So now I should have 3. It looks like I do. And let's double check. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's 4 because I need to minus 1, of course. Starting at index 0. Go. And I could now listen to what's the word? Instantiate. So there's activate. Where is it? Where is it? Removing instances, right? So it's here primarily. So I need to do also a listener here. So I'm going to do create attribute changed here, and then current. And then what I could do is I could say, new value minus old value. Now I would say, hey, is this greater than 0? If it is, then we're going to be adding an instance, which would be more or less this logic. So I should, I think, be able to copy this or move this into its own function. Or event, whatever you want to call it. So add instanced projectile mesh. From that for loop that now I don't remember where it went. From this for loop, I could just call and we could also do another for loop, right? We could say the absolute value -1. So is it greater than 0? No, that means we are taking it away. I would probably want to... What am I calling this? Definitely want to... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know if it's going to break or not. So if it's greater than it, then yeah. Then we do another for loop. So we're going to do for loop. Truncate, sure, true. Add instance. Yes, I could, instead of it doing like this, I can always just iterate and do the branch here. So is, otherwise, remove. Maybe. So what I would want to see now is I have 3, so 1, 2, 3. But now, oops, if I go into my attributes, go to the weapon, I still need to, I do need to modify this. So let me just make that, okay, what if I make that, there you go. So it adds it correctly, it seems. We have 1 now. But I need to, yeah, there's a lot of issues here. We're gonna have to safeguard this a lot better, I'd imagine. What do I want to do? Oh, I want to make a gameplay effect. That just, oops, not a level. Whoopsie. I want to make a gameplay effect that removes an arrow, right? Just takes the current number and subtracts it by 1. But I want to make it data driven. So let's do gameplay effect. We'll say GE underscore modify arrow count. Bow weapon. It has to be very verbose with the language that we're using. So instant, yes. Modifiers, we do current. And we're gonna do override. And we're gonna do set by caller. We're gonna do data. Data.weapon.bow.arrow count. And then what we're going to do is in our bow abilities here, bow ranged base, for example, we're going to make a function called a fire arrow. We're going to modify arrow count. Take an integer. Let's make it a float. So new arrow count. Do arrow count, and we'll say make outgoing spec with this arrow count. And then we'll say assign by color magnitude arrow count. And then we could say character. Well, we could get the ability system component, right? So get ability system component for actor info, get attribute. Should be able to get the current. Oops. Current minus this. Don't necessarily have to do this, but we can just clamp or just max between this and 0. And then apply gameplay effect to owner. There you go. And then in my base one, for example, the base attack, we can say here, right? We could say modify arrow count and just do 1. In theory, it should work, at least to modify the attribute. So we have 3. I'm going to shoot an arrow. I have 2. I have 2 here. I have 1. I have 0. Now, if I make this 3 again, I have 3 arrows back, right? 1, 2, 3. So it does remove too late. I think I need to do it. Yeah, I have to do it here. Now, the concern is, I would argue that, once you press it, I guess technically if you don't fire it, it shouldn't cost you anything, but who knows. But yeah. Hey, Anyasaur, how you doing? Access none, trying to access here. So let's look at this issue. So show message log. So we're accessing none equipped projectile. So we should revert to validating get first and foremost. Let's do that, right? Now let's do it again. So 1, 2, 3. And 3 back. Not playing. Still got some errors, so let's look. So access none here. So let's make sure we get it is valid. Check. And that should hopefully get rid of our errors. So we have 3 arrows. Now let's also try. Now let's add 10 arrows as our max. Okay, now we have a bunch of arrows, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I counted 11. So I wonder. So I have 3 right now, right? Let me make it 5. So let me just be sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I also need to clamp it better. So maybe I can do it here. Oh my god. Let's see. Let's grab the new value, right? The new value, and we're going to go from. Hey, thanks for the follow there, GVOC. Much appreciated. Thanks for the follow there on Twitch. Much appreciated. So the min value is going to be 0. Max value is going to be the max attribute. No, how do I write this? I always suck at this stuff. Okay, so it's just not the attribute, right? So let us recompile that bad boy. Let's hope that works. And then at that point, we also need to safeguard the use of the bow when there's no arrows available. I saw some red there. What was that? Okay, just the instance data. I need to fix that at some point, but that's not for today. Okay, so let's just hope everything back up. Okay, so we have 3 arrows, so let's open up our attributes and let's fuck around with the numbers just to see if things add up. So if I were to make current 10, okay, so it made it 0. Don't know why. Oh, it's probably because of the attributes, right? Hey, Talos, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. Let me... I don't know why I closed out of the editor. I need to see what value I'm reading in, because I'm assuming it's... Yeah, it's 10, right? So I would need... Maybe this is not needed. Maybe I'm just doing it in a bad way. Let me not do it this way. So cancel. Let's just take this out. Let's just keep that just in case we need that boilerplate. Is this Jak and Daxter meets Slay the Spire 2? Maybe. That's an interesting way of thinking about it. I don't think it is. I think it's more like Hades meets Slay the Spire 2. Because I really want the combat to be more fast-paced and stuff. It's not a platformer or anything like that. It's more of an arcadey action game where you mix third-person action with hard mechanics. So you'll have different sets of weapons. You'll be able to equip primary and secondary weapon, and then you have cards that can elevate those weapons. You have other cards that can just grant unique abilities and do unique things and have all these different builders spenders, and you kind of try to build the character towards being as strong as you can be, and then fight off waves and waves of enemies and stuff like that. The character model looked very Jak for a brief moment. He does. Don't get me wrong. It's assets I got from Fab. So all of the art, aside from maybe a couple little things, are usually from Fab. I make some tweaks here and there, but all the art stuff, I'm not going to take credit for, but the gameplay logic and everything, that's all me. Hi, nice dreams. I have a question about Rewind Debugger. How do we record something into it? For example, if I attach an actor to my character at runtime, when I rewind it, I would like to see it. I don't know how you actually have it hook into the Rewind Debugger. Like, I know, like us, you could just press record and you can just kind of see how things happen, but I'm not confident in how to make it compatible with the Rewind Debugger and to make sure that things get hooked into it. I'm assuming some visual logger hooks would do something for it, but I'm not entirely sure. I get blacked every day. What does that mean? Okay. So yeah, let's look at our attributes again. The weapon attributes. So we have this, so let's make it 10. Okay. So yeah, current and delta. Like, I don't like that the delta goes to -7. So I'll have to figure that out later. So if I do 10 again, still that. But then if I make it 4, yeah, so. So the arrows seem to be adding up, but this is not working like I was hoping it would. So I need to figure out how I'm clamping health. guess I'm doing it in the... What's the word? Doing it in the execution class. Maybe I need to make a custom execution class just to make sure that value never really goes down to 0. Let's just do a hot reload here and just verify some of this stuff. Oh, thanks. I tried my best, but I quit trying after some point. I wish there was a little docs about rewind debugger and paper. Looks awesome, but I have no idea how to add custom things into it. Yeah, good point. Fair point. There's definitely ways to do it. You know, I've seen people add stuff to it at work, but you know, I'm not an engineer by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm not entirely sure. Maybe something ChatGPT or something could hook into. Let's see. So we definitely do need to be clamping. So yeah, I think this needs to happen within some sort of like execution class. Because I don't think clamping it within the attributes that will do me any good. Yeah, then we also have to hook up into our charge hold, so you can only get a certain number based on how much is left, and maybe have that hook into some UI. I think. And we'll have to make an execution class, I'm fairly certain. Not a big deal. So we'll create that class. Maybe I could do it. I don't think I could do it in Blueprint, right? I think I need to. I mean, it's also problematic with like the health, right? Because, well, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's post gameplay effect execute, right? Like, let me go into my held execution. It's damage execution, right? Does this get hooked in when I modify health? Oh. How am I handling this for health? Seems like I'm doing something. Let's read into it a bit more. So it could be in the post gameplay effect execute somewhere, right? So we're doing all this damage stuff, blah 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 blah. Because this is all with in damage healing, right? And this healing, but then at the very bottom here, right? Bam. So I feel like this is what I need to do for my weapon attribute set. Maybe even do still a damage execution or something. Have you checked out Cyberpunk TCG? No, I have not. Like, we were able to get a deal on some sort of Kickstarter with, I don't think it was the TCG, but some other board game stuff that I'm hoping I get access to soon. But it looks cool. I like cyberpunk stuff, man. That, I think, I hope, that does the trick. So let's do a hot reload. Is the TCG doing something interesting? Did they announce anything? Or was that just a general question? The only trading card game I'm into right now is Pokemon, but it's just for the collecting aspect of it. I don't actually play the card game. So let's see if our attribute set behaves as we'd expect. So again, we have 3. So it gets clamped correctly. I have 5, I have 10, 100. So, you know, I have 100 arrows. I'm assuming the more instances I have, the worse it's going to do performance-wise, but it's okay. I hope they make a PC version of it. It has some unique gameplay mechanics. I really should check it out then. So let me give myself 1,000 arrows. Yeah, so definitely not good. I would think, like, why does the performance become affected by the number of instances that we have? Because I thought the point of instance meshes was to reduce the cost. Unless I'm doing something fucked up. Am I creating a lot of components instead of... For some reason... Sometimes I... Yeah, there we go. Sometimes I just lose connection here. So if I add 10,000 instances, things seem to shit their pants. I see. Let me try to close pi. So we'll see if my editor just shits its pants and we'll go from there. And then my God. This thing. And kill the editor. let's see if we can improve that in some way in the next like 10 minutes. Obviously, I'm never gonna have 10,000 arrows in there, but it could be indicative of a bigger problem. Okay, Google's recommending that we could also try a hierarchical instance tag mesh component. Like, I'm not adding all these components. I'm creating instances of the one mesh. So disable collision during iteration. So I'm assuming I want to make sure I have no collision, of course. Is that on the component itself or on the instances, I wonder? Let's take a look. Well, I'm already doing set collision somewhere, I thought. So this is on the weapon. And that's on that part too. So I should... Let's see. Projectile weapon mesh component. I should be able to say as well. So for example, equipped, right? I should be able to set collision enabled, no collision, of course. And should, in the case of the bow weapon, there's this arrow. We could also just be sure that collision is off. So do we get anything better? So at about 1,000 frames, not frames, at 1,000 max, we were getting problems. Okay, so now we're at 10,000 and, you know, even at 1,000, we weren't having really any problems. So that definitely helped significantly, so awesome. And batch add instances. So instead of it being within a for loop, we could use a version called add instances. But add multiple instances to this component. Add multiple instances as a component. Transform is given a local space. So, like, as an example, and I say, like I was thinking, instead of looping, I can just allocate that number into an array of transforms and then pass that transforms in. So I'm gonna do this, right? So I'm gonna make a version where it's multiple instances. So I'm gonna say custom event add instances meshes, right? So I'm gonna just do a transform array. Transforms. And add instances. And then I feel like I still would still have to update the instance transform in a similar way. But I feel like that's not really going to do anything for us, if I'm going to be honest. So I could delay next tick. Let's see if that does anything. But I don't think it's going to do anything, honestly. I think we found a decent middle ground. So let me put on stat FPS again. We have 60. We're at 100. Nothing's being updated, so we know something broke. So this tick thing is not working. We could put these into like worker threads maybe, but again, I don't know if it's super important. Because I don't see ourselves having anything more than like 10, maybe 20 or something. So we have one arrow. Let me just put in the FPS and let's just do it again. So we have 100. Thousand. 10,000. Yeah, that's where we shit our pants, right? So 2,000. 3, 4, 5. So around 4,000 to 5,000 of these is where it becomes kind of problematic, but we're never going to have that amount. I wonder if setting the static mesh is also important here. For sure it is. But yeah, in general, we found some improvements with the whole collision stuff. And people on the forums had also mentioned the same thing, where it's, I was just stress testing the engine and wanted to see how much I could profit using instant messages. Not instant messages. Instanced meshes. Turns out I could not because my frame rate was half. Boom, boom. What are people saying? It looks like you're creating a lot of ISMCs. You should only need one for each unique mesh and just be adding the instances to that one. No, it actually doesn't create multiple components. I just reproduced your blueprint and test the results. I'm saying the result I expect. Blah, 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 blah. I could certainly confirm. Blah, blah, blah. So hoping this thread will give me some answers. I know I'm not really showing it. Let me bring it up. I think I was on like down here. This GPU nanite might not be that bad. I think that once you have your LOD set up well, you're using HISMs instead of ISMs. Results, we're going to end. Maybe I need to use HISM. Here's an example of GTX displaying 6.7 million instances. I did some testing and noticed that weren't mesh were giving back overall within. So collision is collision calculation. I'm assuming Nanite isn't going to do anything for this. Let's see. So we were having issues once we reached the 10,000 threshold, so yeah, still problematic. LODs. There are lighting things that we could do. No. Okay. Other people have made some threads about it as well. But they have the same thing, unusable after 10,000 instances. So without any actions, performance is great in both use cases. Oops. Collision seems to be the problem. Lumen ray tracing. I did some testing and noticed non-instance set meshes were giving better performance. How geometry. I think that's the same comment as I saw earlier. But like I said earlier, if you go about it in a different way, you can achieve nice results. Okay. let's just do a little bit more research and then we'll call it a night, I think. Okay. The same comment as we saw earlier, so we'll move on from that. Try modifying some things. Disable all navigation updates. If lighting quality doesn't matter, disable mesh distance fields. Already off. Recalculating the ISM bounds can get expensive. We get high instance counts. Check use parent bounds. No impact, no impact, no impact. So control visibility with materials, data. Physics state related. Okay. I wonder if there's anything else that I can do, because yeah, it's a low count for poly and tries, or vertices and tries, so that shouldn't be it. LD, termination. No, I don't want to do that. Hoping the light map resolution has something to do with it. Primitives, convex. Collision. Be safe. No collision. Customize collision. Walkable slope right. Small prop. Impact normals. Material. Transform. Miscellaneous. Only file path. Support ray tracing. I don't give a shit. Nope. Has navigation data. Nope. We'll see if those did anything. So let's put in that. And let's do 100, 1,000. Yeah, no real change, so. But, you know, maybe these are still important things to keep in mind. So I could possibly add the instance at the instead of updating the transform this way, maybe I could kind of randomize the transforms manually? I know we don't have much time. Let's see what we can do in the next like 10 minutes. I'm just gonna do an example. Custom event, test. Put stuff here for a second. And test, we're gonna just do what? We're gonna take in the transforms, right? Test. Hoping. Like, I'm assuming. We can. Just do it once and then add instances. Don't need to update navigation. World space, no. Yeah, I'm hoping we can. Let's just make an array of the transforms. Each time we'll clear it. Then yeah, we iterate and we're gonna just do add. And we could what, like set array or set size. Is there like size? Resize. And we're gonna take that. And we'll do that at the beginning. This, so resize, grab you that. And then we'll add, and this is where we'll do the same logic here, right? So add instance projectile, mesh. This is what we want to grab, I assume. Should be able to make transform. Oop. Paste this. Most of this is a location, right? So this should be X, Y, Z. And this last one was what? Y'all? These are also a thing. 2090 and then this, right? Test this. Let's see if that even works. So what's wrong with the compile results? So no class, no value will be returned by reference. Should be okay, right? Let's see. I don't know why. So access none. So I need to do a getter. Oh. Incomplete. I get. This. So. This is ugly, but I'm just going to do it. But this should only get called when I've added to it, right? So. So there's 17. Why though? 5, 17. So yeah, it keeps adding. Okay. For some reason, oh, I'm sure I failed to have up to type. That's fine, whatever. Let me print this out. Just want to know why that's being called. Constant. So we're looping through and get to there. So something's not really checking out in my mind, but maybe it's a non-issue if we're not really doing more than a certain amount. Because yeah, there's that number, there's that number, and then that number. Yeah, so we're still getting issues when we get too high. But again, maybe it's not an issue. So for now, maybe it's okay. I want to watch more tutorials and stuff. Maybe I want to be using hierarchical instant static mesh. I don't know. So ISM Asteroid was my win. ISM fixed it. 50k rocks went from 50k draw calls to 5. Frame time dropped like Asteroid. No wait. Blah blah blah. So ISM lives or dies on its bounding box. The render thread checks one box per ISM component. So HSIM takes flat list of instances and runs into a spatial tree. Am I able to like update the bounding box? Like, is there a... We have an instantiate, right? Instantiate, projectile... Set downscale. I just set the downscale to 1. Is that a problem? Well, let's look at this and then I'm going to call it a night. So, 100,000. Well, still problematic. I don't know. I changed the class, and we get this issue. So let's see. Does that change anything out of the box? Or do I get crashes? Not much improved performance. And obviously, you know, we got, you know, we're never having 10,000, but, you know, I'm confused on why that is problematic. So is valid and set remove SSs. Set call distances. Okay, we're getting insurers at the wazoo. Okay, we're back to normal. So I'll have to do some more R&D on this. I'm not entirely confident. Not as efficient as I thought it would be. But maybe I'm just being naive or something like that. There's tips and tricks I can maybe watch a video on later. Maybe I can watch this on the bus in the morning. Let me just send this to myself and hopefully I'll remember about it tomorrow. Or I can watch it on the train ride and stuff like that. And I'm sure, like, I don't remember. Let me run a shipping build real quick. Because again, this is editor. Maybe in shipping builds it's not bad. As bad. But I need to see if... I can't remember if my IMGUI is on shipping builds. No. Okay. So I'll need to run a development build and just see how this looks like. So we'll figure this out. Not too worried. Again, we're not going to be running into like thousands of meshes anyway in this use case, so probably not a big deal. So thanks everybody for watching. It's all super duper appreciated. Make sure to join our Discord, join the community, show your stuff, hang out, learn, grow, all that good stuff. If you aren't already following me on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you aren't following me here on Twitch, make sure to follow. It's all super always appreciated. Enjoy your night. We'll be back on Thursday, hopefully. And enjoy your night. Bye.